going to talk about how to write an exceptional outline. Now, in an earlier module, we talked about how to write an exceptional hook. And in this lesson, we're going to go over the details of writing an outline. Now, remember, we talked about in the lesson before this how very, very many really accomplished, award-winning New York Times best-selling authors use structure or use an outline or use a framework to help them write well. So it's not lame, it's not cheating, it's not, it's just actually good planning to have an outline, because that way it gives you some structure, some a skeleton or a framework to put your essay on so that you can grab the attention of the scholarship committee or the admissions counselors. So here we go. Our whole format is the hook, step 1, step 2, the emotional connector, step 3, the practical connector, step 4, the show, not tell, step 5, the practical outcome, step 6, the emotional outcome, step 7, the hook connection, and then step 8, yep, go ahead and close it down. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to write an essay or write an outline for an essay that follows these steps, and we're just going to do it together. Does that sound good? All right, great. Here we go. The prompt is going to be one of the prompts for the upcoming year 2023. So if you're going into college next year, you're filling out the Common App. This is one of the prompts for the personal essay. Reflect on something that someone has done for you that has made you happy or thankful in a surprising way. How has this gratitude affected or motivated you? So that's our prompt. Step number 1, we are going to grab the reader's attention by writing a great hook. Now, you should have already done the hook repository. You have a bunch of ideas, you have a bunch of hook sentences, so this step should be pretty easy. You're going to take a boring, ordinary essay and you're just going to pump it up to a new level. So the hook style that we're going to talk about is a shocking overstatement. And the event was a young man dressed up as a homeless person for his youth pastor's sermon illustration. He stood out in front of the youth building on a Sunday morning, held a "Will Work for Food" sign, and the people in his church went by and interacted with him. They were super kind, did all kind of stuff for him, and it really impacted his perspective and his attitude towards homeless people and how he should behave. So here's the hook sentence. Shocking overstatement. I was homeless. Shocking overstatement. It was only for a day, but that day changed my life. Great hook, gonna grab their attention. Number 2, the emotional connector, right? A connecting thought or two that evokes emotion and draws the reader in. Now, from this point on, we're not writing the real essay. We're not going to worry about how wonderful our words are, how many sentences, if everything's grammatically correct. We don't really care. What we're going to do is we're just going to write out the connector, the emotional connector. Try and put emotional words in it. Just write it in there. And we're going to go back in step 3, the sinker part of the Concepts Made Simple writing method. And we're going to fill it in. We're going to pull in and make it that beautiful mosaic. But right now we're just doing the framework. Okay. So it was hot outside. I was dirty and smelly, and just holding the sign made me embarrassed. Okay, so emotional, you can feel it. He used dirty, smelly, and then he was embarrassed holding the sign. So that's an emotional connector. The third step is a practical connector. So write something, a connecting thought or two that gives the supporting details. Now, if you're writing a super long essay, you can probably make these little connectors, these steps a little bit longer, but most of the time I keep them short so that my essay can be 250 words, it can be 650, it could be 1,000. I can just add to it, and I'll show you how to do that later. But the practical connector, step 3, These are supporting details. So this gives a little bit of context to the story. I was standing outside at the front entrance of the youth building, helping my youth pastor with the sermon illustration. I was worried that security was going to kick me out. Okay, so those are practical things. They kind of help build the details of the story. Step number 4, remember, we want to show, not tell. Anybody can say they're a great communicator. We want to show them. We don't want to just tell them. So you write a thought or two that shows how you embody a great personal characteristic. So on this one, we want to highlight that this kid is the go-to kid in the youth group. This is the kid that's dependable. He's always there. Obviously, because the youth pastor called on him to dress up as a homeless person. Okay, so that's what the show, not tell. So we showed that he's dependable, that he's consistent, that he's always there, that the youth pastor can always call on him by showing that he was willing to dress up and be there for the youth pastor. All right, that was step 4. All right, step 5, and you see above how I'm starting to collect an actual essay. Step 5 is the practical outcome. So write a thought or two about how the situation turned out practically. People stopped, they gave him money, they invited him into the youth activity, they brought food, they cried while they tried to help him, thinking he was a homeless teenager. All right, step number 5. Now look, we're building it. I mean, if you had a 250-word essay, we'd almost be done. Of course, we need to fill it in with some of our personality, but anyway, we're doing the structure. So step 6 is the emotional outcome. Write a thought or two about the emotions that were felt when the situation was resolved. So these are feeling type sentences. I was humbled at the outpouring of kindness and love my community showed me as a homeless teenager. I was grateful for the compassion. Okay, the emotional outcome. Remember, we already told them what the practical, people gave them food and what have you like that. Now the emotional outcome. Now, step number 7, this is important. You want to help people show how the hook connected back to the prompt. Okay, so nowhere in this have we said, you know, my prompt is blah, 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 blah. Okay, we want to tell a story. A story doesn't tell you what it's going to do, it carries you along with it. So in that case, you have to help people connect the dots, because not always, people don't always connect the dots. So this is the place where you help them understand that your hook and your prompt connect. The simple actions of a loving community toward me while dressed as a homeless person took me by surprise. There we go. There's the hook. It made me grateful. There's the hook again, and forever changed my perspective about homeless people. So how did something that surprised you, took you off guard, someone was kind to you, you're thankful or what have you, how did it change your perspective? And there is the connection, the hook. I was homeless, and this is how it changed me. And then here we go. This is the close. Write a closing that ties everything all together with a pretty bow. Sometimes I spend a little bit more time on this, but most of the time I just kind of get my ideas down. The man standing on the corner holding a sign is someone's son. So my perspective changed for homeless people. And I say that in a way that kind of pulls it all together. The dirty lady pushing the grocery cart full of things she's found on the street could be someone's mother. The family digging in the dumpster deserves my compassion and kindness. These are all words and sentences that evoke a complete idea. So now we have the framework to a really exceptional essay. In our next lesson, we're going to go through and we're going to fill it in like a mosaic with your personality, with words that grab people's attention and also help you tell the story in your voice.